Hey everyone, here are 5 must-know pre-algebra topics in just 8 minutes. Here is topic 1, fractions, decimals, and percentages. Really have to know these cold. Here we go. Solve the following expression. We notice that we have 3/4 minus 2/3. We need a common denominator here, and that common denominator is going to be 12, the least common multiple of the two numbers 4 and 3. So in order to change 4 into 12, we're going to multiply both top and bottom by a 3. In order to change the 3 to a 12, we'll multiply both top and bottom by a 4. So this gives us 9 over 12 minus 8 over 12, which gives us 1 over 12. And that's completely simplified, so we can leave it as is. Letter B, David's store has a 25% off sale. An item originally cost $12. All right, so we start with the $12, and it's going to have 25% off, meaning that 75 of the 100% remains. So we have 75 of the 100 that remains, and then a 9% sales tax is added after the discount. A 9% sales tax means that we will be multiplying by 1.09, which is 109 over 100. So we have, boom, over 100, and now we solve. So 75 and 100 simplify to 3 over 4. 4 cancels into 12, gives us a 3. So now all we're left with is 3 times 109. Well, 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 100. So let's write this again. 9 times 109 over 100. This will equal 9 times 100, which is 900. Then 9 times 9 is 81. So we have 981 over 100, which is equal to $9.81. So all in all, after the 25% off and the added 9% sales tax afterwards, you saved about $2.19. Topic 2, integer number operations, super important in order to solve algebraic equations in Algebra 1. Here we go. We have -8 plus 14. Well, that's just 6. Minus a negative. A negative times a negative is a positive. This is the first time we've seen this in pre-algebra, and that is 12. -2 cubed. That means -2 times -2 times -2. Let's rewrite it just so we can fill in some gaps here. Plus 4 times -5, that's -20. Minus, we have an absolute value here, so let's solve everything within the absolute value first. -9 plus 3 is -6. -2 times -2 is +4, times the -2 is -8, minus the 20. The absolute value of -6 is 6, because reminder, our absolute value is just asking for the distance from the origin, the distance from 0. So now we have minus a 6. So in total, we have -34. Topic number 3, ratios and proportions. A recipe calls for 2 cups of sugar for every 5 cups of flour. If you use 12 cups of flour, how much sugar do you need? So for each cup of sugar, or for the amount of sugar that I need, I'm going to be using 12.5 cups of flour. Well, as a proportion, 12.5 cups of flour will be proportional to 5 cups of flour with 2 cups of sugar. These two are proportional per the first statement. Now we want to multiply both sides by 12.5 in order to isolate my x. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 12.5. And once I do this, these cancel, and I'm left with x equals. Well, 12.5 times 2 is 25, and that brings a smile to our face because we know 25 over 5 is just 5, and we have 5 cups of sugar. Keep in mind that whenever you're given units of measure in the problem, you must include units of measure in your final answer. Now, part B, a car travels 180 miles on 6 gallons of gas, all right? So we have 180 miles on 6 gallons of gas at the same rate. So at this rate, how many miles can it travel on 15 gallons? So if we multiply this by 15 gallons, check out what happens. The gallons cancel out, right? The units of measure cancel out, leaving us with just miles. That's what we want. Now, 180 and 6 have a common factor of 6, so those cancel out, leaving just the 30 on top. 30 times 15 is 450. So we can travel 450 miles on 15 gallons of gas if we can keep the same rate as when we traveled 180 miles on 6 gallons of gas. Topic 4, variables and order of operations. Variables, first time we're seeing these in pre-algebra as well, but we're going to be using them a lot more in algebra 1. Substitution is crucial to understand. So x is equal to 4. What does that mean? I can substitute, I can change, I can plug in 4 into all the x's that we see. If y is equal to -5, same idea. -5 can now be plugged in for y, right? This is called substitution. So now we have 3 times 4 squared minus 2 times -5 plus that 5. So 4 squared, order of operations again, we always work with the powers first. 4 squared is 16, times the 3 is 48. A negative times a negative is a positive. 2 times 5 is 10. Add the 5, that'll be 58 plus 5, which is equal to 63. Next, we want to simplify the expression completely, which means I need to distribute the coefficient of each of these parentheses to all the terms within the parentheses. So 4 times 2x gives us 8x. 4 times -3 is -12. -3 times 3x is -9x. -3 times -4 is +12. Wow, this is a really cool problem because the constants, the numbers eliminate, leaving us with just 8x minus 9x, which is -x. Very satisfying answer there. Last topic, number 5, functions. Solve for x. Isolating variables and rearranging equations in order to isolate just one of the variables is a really important skill we need to know. And we use inverse operations. So this -6 on the other side of the equality becomes a +6. So x is equal to 21. Another way you can think about this is think about what number subtract 6 equals 15. Right? Another way to think about it. We can also use something called a flow chart. So if we start with x, what's the first thing we do to it? We multiply by a -3. What's the next thing we do to it? We add an 8. And we end up at a 2. So from the 2 going backwards, we're going to subtract an 8. That gives us -6. And since we multiplied by -3 earlier, now we will divide by -3. And -6 divided by -3 is a 2. So x is equivalent to 2. We can always check our answer. We can get -3 times 2 plus 8 is equal to 2. Is that true? -6 plus 8 is in fact equal to 2. We know we have the correct answer. Here's a little bonus topic for you all, the coordinate plane. Whenever we read coordinates on an xy plane, whenever we have an xy plane, we always read it as x, y. Like many things in mathematics, x and y, the coordinates are in alphabetical order. So keep that in mind. Alphabetical order, x comes before y in the alphabet. If you enjoyed learning with me, make sure to subscribe and check out the description below for links to my courses.